Can you say hi, everybody?
Hi.
Say hi. My name is Harry. Tell them what your name is. Harry. And we're ready for story time. Yeah. Yep. Am I gonna read a story? Yeah. Ta-da. And who is this that's gonna listen with us? Who's this right here? Who's this? Yeah, who's listening to our story? Who is this in your hands? Is this what's her name? Is that Lamb? All right. Well, let's listen up. Are you ready to listen up? Okay. Ready? Ta-da. You dropped Lamb on the floor. Okay. All right. I can see through it, but let's listen to the story. Are you ready? Are you ready? We're reading today's story. You want Lamb back? Do you want to hold Lamb for the story? All right. Shh. We got to tell a story. Shh. Tell everybody it's time for a story.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to read a book. Yep. Can you put this down so we can read? We have to show our friends what the book says. We're going to read the Shoelace Box. And the Shoelace Box... The Shoelace Box was written by Elizabeth Winthrop and illustrated by Kathy Wilburn. Now, I bet right on the inside cover is a picture of a little boy with his shoelaces untied. Do you think the book has to do with tying your shoes? I bet it does. Let's see. Let's see what it has to do with. Stephen was getting bigger every day. He was tall enough. We have to be quiet so all our friends can listen. Harry. You gotta be quiet. He was tall enough to push the number 7 button on the elevator. He was tall enough to get his own juice cup out of the cupboard. And he could even pour his own juice. He could count to 20 and say the alphabet and write his name in big letters. Wow, he could sure do a lot. But there was one thing Stephen could not do. Harry, listen. Look, there was one thing he couldn't do. I don't know how to tie my shoes, Stephen told his parents. Okay. Are you going to sit on my lap and listen to the story tonight? You said you were going to help me read. That isn't hard to learn, said his father. I'll show you right now. Let's see. How many pairs of tied shoes are in tonight's book? Can you count how many pairs of tied shoes are in tonight's book? I see 1 pair of tied shoes and 2 pairs of tied shoes, but Stephen's shoes aren't tied. Okay. They sat down together and Stephen's father showed him how to make 1 big loop and then another. That looks easy, said Stephen. They look like rabbit ears. But when he tried it, his shoes suddenly seemed very far away, and his knee kept bumping into his chin. Worst of all, his rabbit ears kept falling apart. Never mind, said his father. It takes practice. We'll try again tomorrow. All right, well, they tried. Let's see. Every day that week, Stephen tried to tie his shoes. Every day, his rabbit ears fell apart. Make the ears a little smaller, said his mother. Don't pull so quickly, said his mother. My knee keeps getting in the way, said Stephen. There he is, trying to learn. Let's see. One rainy day, Stephen wore his boots to school. No shoes to tie, he said to himself. I'll wear my boots every day. But on sunny days, his feet got hot, and it was hard to play kickball wearing big red rubber boots. Miss Barnett, Stephen's teacher, sent a note home. It said, please make sure Stephen doesn't wear his boots to school when it is not raining. Oh, he tried to wear boots instead, didn't he? Stephen kept trying to tie his shoelaces, but it just seemed to get harder. Every morning he sat on his bed and made big loops and small loops, but they always fell apart. He was late for school. He tripped over his laces all day long. Poor Stephen. Do you think he'll figure out how to tie his shoelaces? One afternoon in the schoolyard, Stephen's shoe fell off right in the middle of a relay race. The other kids laughed. Stephen, go over to the side and put on your shoe, please, said Miss Barnett. Tie those laces really tight this time. Stephen wanted to say, I don't know how to tie those dumb shoelaces, but he didn't dare. He was sure all the other kids knew how to tie their shoes. They were never late in the morning. Their shoes never fell off in the middle of a race. He tucked his laces into his shoes and went to the back of the line. Oh, how sad, poor Stephen. Then it happened again, right there in front of everybody. His shoe fell off for the second time. Stephen's team lost the relay race. Stephen was so mad he kicked his shoe all the way over to the door. Miss Barnett took Stephen's hand. Come with me, she said. I have a surprise for you. Back in the classroom, Miss Barnett took out a box. She punched 6 holes in the top. Then she threaded a long string back and forth through the holes and tied a bow at the end. She wrote Stephen's Shoelace Box on the front and gave it to Stephen. You can practice tying your shoelaces here, she said with a smile. Stephen put the shoelace box inside his desk so the other kids wouldn't see it. Do you see what she did with the box? Look, right there. She put holes in it and laced it up. It looks sort of like a sneaker, doesn't it? Let's see. Every day when nobody was looking, Stephen practiced tying the lace on his shoelace box. It was much easier because his knees didn't get in the way. Every day his knots got a little tighter and his loops got a little smaller. Then one day he tied the shoelace perfectly. Miss Barnett, he cried, I did it! I tied the shoelace on the shoelace box. Stephen was so excited that he forgot to hide the box. Everybody came over to see what he was talking about. Look at all of his friends from school. They're so happy for him. Isn't that great? Let's see what happens next. Let's see, Stephen, said Miss Barnett. So Stephen tied the shoelace on the shoelace box in front of the whole class. Then he tied the shoelaces on his own shoes in front of the whole class. Everybody cheered. Then they all started to talk at once. Look, do you see? There he is with his tied shoes. I need a shoelace box too. My sister still ties my shoes for me. While everybody was talking, Stephen looked down at his friend's shoes. Some laces were tucked inside the shoes the way his used to be. Others were straggling out on the floor. 2 kids were wearing boots even though it was a sunny day. Stephen smiled. The next day, everybody brought in 1 shoelace and a box from home. Soon the whole class had shoelace boxes, and soon the whole class knew how to tie the shoelaces on their very own shoes. The end. Now, some of you may be hearing the story and think, Pastor Veronica, I've been tying my shoes for a really long time. I didn't need to hear that story. That was a baby story. But you know what? I've been able to tie my shoes for a really long time too. But I still like that story. Do you know why I like that story? I liked it because it reminded me of what it's like to learn something new or learn something for the very first time. We didn't always know how to tie our shoes. It took us a while to learn. I'm not sure when I learned to tie my shoes, but I know there was definitely a time when I didn't know how. But I'm always learning new things, and I'm probably a lot older than Stephen in our story. I'm still learning new things all the time. while we have been home because of COVID, I've learned a new way to cook eggs. It's a special way where you cook an egg on top of a pan and you put the pan on top of boiling water and you don't put it right on the heat. It makes the egg nice and creamy and yummy. But you know what? The first couple of times I tried it, I didn't get it right. It was kind of yucky, to be honest. But now that I've had a lot of practice, it's one of my favorite things to make. It's yummy. So I want to know what skills you are learning brand new this summer when you're out of school and taking a break from class. Are you learning a new skill? Are you learning how to ride your bike without training wheels? Are you learning how to roller skate or rollerblade? Are you learning how to braid your own hair? Maybe you're learning how to draw or paint, or maybe you're learning how to play a new game. There are so many new things we can learn. And I want to encourage you to learn how to do at least one new thing this summer. I know you can do it. And I know that even if it takes a lot of hard work and practice, that you'll be able to figure out something new too. Maybe even you'll learn how to tie your shoes. Well, friends, that's my story for you. Tonight's story was The Shoelace Box. The Shoelace Box was written by Elizabeth Winthrop and illustrated by Kathy Wilburn. Again, that's The Shoelace Box. I'm Pastor Veronica. It was great having a story time with you tonight. Remember that God loves you and so do I. Sleep well and good night.